Test, test. Test. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. For those on the side, please take your seats. For those sitting, I ask you if you can please stand and do the salute to the flag. Thank you, thank you. And welcome to this afternoon's town hall meeting. Thank goodness it's not snowing, raining, so we have a very nice crowd here today. And for those of you at home, please stay tuned throughout the entire program. A lot of information being spread. Our moderators for today is Mr. Charles Lupo, otherwise known as Chuck, and, and Gene Murphy, otherwise known as Cowboy. They will be the moderators today, so I will turn over the mic to Mr. Murphy. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our second town hall. Howdy. We are here today to talk about our current gate access monitoring system and discuss options that we have as a community moving forward. We'll be discussing several topics and asking for your feedback. For those of you who are unable to attend our town hall today, we ask that you send either a written letter to the board or an email to the board with any suggestions from our topics that we are discussing today. There will be no decisions made today. The Board of Trustees is asking for your input. We will be having roving members, Mary Donor and Mary Lathrop, with microphones to come up to each of you so you can give your input and suggestions. Please remember that we want to discuss the topics at hand. We're well aware of any type of problems with our gate monitoring system. If you have any other concerns besides the topics we're bringing up, please feel free to email the board as usual. I want to remind everybody, please be respectful of others when they are speaking. Thank you very much, and we'll get started with Mr. Lupo.
Hello, everyone. The main thing is, on topic number one, don't misinterpret this. It's not that we're not thinking of closing the gate. It's unmanning the gate. So that would basically create a new gate the same way that Colonial Drive is. So that's the main thing. Don't misinterpret that. And what we're going to be doing is going through with, getting feedback from all of you. The bottom line is the numbers are just going up on our security cost. And they're not going to get any lower. So this year we're at, over it's $60,000. Think of it as, for every 8-hour shift, it's $60,000. Every $30,000 in our budget is $1 in maintenance fee. So that's $2 that we all pay just for one shift. So that number is going to increase. We have, this is a 3-year contract. We're in the first year of the contract, and there's built-in increases. So with that, are we going to do the?
Well,
I'll turn it back to Gene.
Okay. So as Mr. Lupo indicated, our 2020 year contract is at $234,481. In 2021, we're going to go to $254,465. And in 2022, we're going to go to $270,015. Our previous contract that we just had ended was at $197,033. That'd be an increase of $72,980 over the next 3 years from our previous contract.
So our first topic that we're going to discuss options for the community for our gate control access system. The first topic we're going to discuss and ask your opinion on is closing the Route 37 gate access for guests and having only access for residents. This would save the association $60,000 plus the expense of the unit itself, heating, air conditioning, electrical is about another 10, so it's $70,000 a year. We have on average 225 vehicles that go through the gate access monitor at the Route 37 gate. So we'd like to ask you, what do you think about that proposal? So we're going to start with Mary Donor. It's 225 per day, yes. So we'll start with Mary Donor, and she'll go around, and we'll go there.
I'll go to the closest one.
Karen McGinley, Canterbury Drive. You had mentioned at a board meeting, a few board meetings ago, talking about if it was closed, that we could use the cloud. Could that be a suggestion?
That's going to be one of our future topics, and we're going to get into that a little bit later. So yes, to answer your question, yes, we will be going over that with you about the cloud-based system. Mary Lathrop? Anybody?
Oh, okay. Joe Ercolino, Buckingham Drive.
Hi, Joe.
First of all, I always want to thank the board for doing anything like this, because there is no pay other than you're here to help protect our $33 million worth of housing. The last time I remember there being a talk about the 37 gate, and this may be new for some people, we were talking about extending the hours so that people who were getting visitors at 8 o'clock in the morning, the workers that would come in, the assistants, physical therapist, so they would be there at 8 o'clock. The other suggestion for the 37 gate was to have it open later in the summertime so those grandparents and parents who are having visitors going to the beach could get back in 37. So we're going from, let's extend the hours because we are a community that has lots of visitors. You're saying 200 per day by average. Summertime, my next door neighbor has their children and grandchildren coming over, and they've got to go all the way around to the 70 gate when they come down 37. So protecting our $33 million investment, how is closing the 37 gate going to keep our investment worthwhile? How's that not going to decrease the people, lowering the price because people will not want to live here if we are isolating ourselves from our family and friends?
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate your opinion on that. We're not here for, just so you know, we're not here to really develop and answer specific questions. We're looking for input, and if that's your input that we shouldn't close it, that's fine, but we're not going to we're looking for feedback so we can research it and the board come up with a decision, and we want you as part of the feedback.
Fennell Williams, 877B, Winchester Court. I have been here for almost 15 years, and we have discussed this prior.
Closer.
Okay. At one point in time, they had spoken about closing 37 gate, and it was on a trial that they did do it. And the traffic out here on 70 was so horrendous that the police came and told them that they had to keep that back gate open because they could not obstruct all the traffic that was on 70. So has this been alleviated, that the police is not going to say that we can take up entire 70 for people to come into our village?
Short answer is no, because we're still looking into any of the possibilities, any options that we could do. And at that time, I don't know why you can't hear all the time. At that time, there weren't as many people, and now there's even more. So this is why we want to get feedback from the community. Like you said, years ago, it wasn't discussed in detail. The ramifications of that action were not fully thought out, and we do not want to repeat that accident.
Okay. Hello, my name is Teresa. I'm at 1236A Thornberry Lane. I support identifying cost savings with an end-to-end project management plan. The safety and security is very important to me personally. I have lived in communities where the gates were closed and issues arose, serious issues. I've only been here less than 2 years, so I do not know as much as all of you do that have been here longer. Since I have been here, the Colonial Gate has had 2 instances that I am aware of that have culminated into a serious crime. People accessing without authorization. And unfortunately, so emergency vehicles are another key thing for me. People entering and access, if all emergency vehicles have access to this community freely, that's one concern. Another is considering that we have an issue with our ambulance service. I believe it has been shut down and it is now going to another vendor, to the Manchester. If I'm incorrect about this, please feel free to correct. If you then authorize transponders, what is the liability if that transponder is put into hands of someone who commits a crime? Is the owner held responsible? Are there laws to protect the owner or not, the community or not? I also would like to ditto the issue with Route 70. Since I've lived here and I at times have to enter Route 70, it's only 2 lanes that merge and then separate to the gate. And there have been backups. I would think if you wanted to use that gate for visitors, then you would have to expand that gate. And what's the cost of that? So transformers are an issue, safety is an issue, control abuse is an issue for me, and also has a usage study been completed to understand the usage at the Route 37 gate at different times of day? That would be very helpful in doing a full project assessment and a cost savings assessment. I personally do not support closing the gate. I do support having security agents there, but I do also support looking at ways to find other cost savings around that in conjunction with a full overall project plan cost savings for the entire, from the maintenance perspective in this community, from the association perspective in this community.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, one thing, again, answer to one of the things, we're not closing the gate, so the access would still be there for all emergency vehicles, police, fire, ambulance. The gate would be unmanned. This is the option that is being discussed now. We do have studies. Our guard company, and I hate calling them a guard company, especially in this, in our environment here, they're not guards. They're basically doorkeepers, okay? Now, last year, when they gave the 2018 information. And we have some information for 2019. We're going to get the full year pretty soon. But right now, some of the numbers I think you find very interesting. In 2018, over 359,000 visitors. That's not counting ambulances and other things. This is just visitors. 359,000 people came into the village. 86,000 came in through the 37 gate. So that was 2018. Right now for 2019, up until August, we had 57,000 visitors through the 37 gate. And that's, the total was for the 8 months, 234,000 right now. So that's for 2/3 of the year. We still have another third of the year to get the money. But as Gene had pointed out, the numbers are, you're at 230, 250 per day coming through per hour. And one of the things is, what's the impact of unmanning the 37 gate? All of that traffic now has to come to the 70 gate. What's the impact? Yes, we would save money, but what's the impact? As you said with a study, there's added traffic now that would be going up and down Buckingham Drive. So those are type of things that the board and management would be looking at. But again, we want input from all of you on what's going on. And Mary's got some back here now.
Paul Hayes, 1144A Thornberry Lane. I was in real estate for a few years in Florida after my first or second retirement, something like that. And one of the things that's very commonplace down there, and I don't see where it's mentioned, is electronic controls. Down there they have signs at the gate, and the guests come to a lane, and they punch in a unit number or they punch in a last name, and that rings the house or the phone of choice by the people that live there, and they hit 9, pound 9, various combinations like that, and it opens it up, and you don't need a person there to guard the gate. You wouldn't need one at any gate. There's plenty of big establishments, much larger than ours down there, that don't have a gate guard. They have roving guards, which are more effective. They can actually go around and find people sneaking around at night or whatever.
Thank you for the suggestion. So that's going to be one of the things that we're going to be talking about later in our program. So thanks for mentioning that and your experience with that. We will be going over that aspect. So the next topic that we wanted to talk about, I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's a lot of us that still have questions.
Mary's over here. Mary, got some questions over here.
Yeah, oh, okay.
Who's ready now?
Over here, no, over here.
Okay,
We've got it covered, we know what we're doing.
okay.
Eileen Robinson, Gramercy Drive. 2 questions. Number 1, can we just break our contract with the staffing company for the Route 37 gate? You said we're on a 3-year contract.
There are ways to get out of the contract, mutually
Okay.
agreed terms, yes.
Have we considered that what is it? The flea market closed and they're building, I don't know how many townhomes there. Some of us are already worried about the traffic on 70. That's going to be increased when that happens. And I heard they were also buying Finnegan's and making that that's going to be a lot of people in there.
Yeah, that affects the township more than our individual community, but there will be an impact on 70.
But if there's traffic on 70, it affects us
Sure.
all.
Yep.
So-
And again, these are all things that would
I
have
like
to be
the
taken
cloud, the
into.
electronic entry. I'd like to hear more about that.
We're going to get to it.
Okay, thanks.
This side?
Thanks.
Charlie Brandt, I live at 47C Coventry Court. I think your numbers are a little off. And the reason I say that is you're talking about entries. Remember, that's open 24/7. 37 is open a very small percentage of the time as it stands. So if you had 37 open the same amount of time, I don't know how many times coming from Barnegat Light, I've had to, not I, but the cars that I've been riding in have had to drive all the way around to get in here. Or just going out to restaurants at night down that way. We've driven all the way around. So we're one more entry at 70 that would have come in here if we could have gotten
Right.
through the gate. And there's something further on down the list that I'd like to make comment on. The idea of passing out excessive numbers of passes to the gates to making it easier to get in, it's wrong. You're just doing away with security.
Okay, that's going to be our next comment. Now, just remember now, those numbers that I stated there, that's the total, and they haven't broken out by 37 and 70. So, again, oh no, not by hour. Right, but think about this 1 second. The 37 gate, if it's unmanned, if there's 80,000 people that come through that gate, just pick a number. If that gate's not open, they have to go to 70. So can 70 absorb all of that extra traffic? That's part of this whole feedback.
And again, that's part of what the board is going to look into. Board's going to research. And unlike, I was here 6 years ago when they unmanned the gate, and it was basically just closed and not brought up. So I feel we're doing it the right way by bringing it to everybody and talking about it.
All right, I guess we should just mention that what we're trying to do is one side and then another side. So right now, we just have one question here. We have a question over here.
Julie, 1041B, Canterbury. I wanted to know, you mentioned, it costs $60,000 to man that gate a year?
Yes,
That's the salary of the person that mans the gate?
No, that's the cost that we are billed per 8-hour shift. So we have the 70 gate is manned 24 hours, so that's 3 shifts, and the 37 gate is manned 1 shift. So it's broken up. It's $60,000 per shift. Just think of it that way. It's $240,000 that we're paying this year.
Yeah, but the 70 gate is always manned. Our gate isn't. The 37 gate isn't. That's
Correct.
only till 5.
But the charge for that gate, what we're paying for that gate is $60,000 for the
per shift.
For the guard
for the
themselves.
monitoring of that gate for that 8-hour shift.
Could you possibly get someone at a lower fee and hire your own person?
Well, we go out every few years for bids for the contract. We just signed this contract. It was the best deal. And this security company handles most, if not all, of the communities in Manchester, Lakewood. So right now, that's the best deal that we could get. And that's why we're bringing it up now, because those numbers are not going to decrease. The minimum wage is going up, so those companies are going to pass that on to us. So for $240,000 this year, it's $275 next year, it's $295 the year
Now,
after.
you said that's a security company. Yeah, didn't somebody say earlier that it's just somebody that's at the gate that marks,
Yes.
that logs everything?
Think about it. They don't
They're
carry
not like-
weapons.
right, they don't carry a weapon and
weapons. They don't
whatnot.
leave the home.
Would it cost about the same price if we just hired a security guard on our own?
Well, you
Or
have to-
less? That's what I'm wondering.
Well,
It might
you have to-
cost less because you're paying a service.
But don't forget, it's not just their hourly wage. You have to take into consideration that you're going to be paying benefits for those people, and
Ah.
the increase
Yeah.
on any employee, the biggest thing that you're paying out is benefit costs.
Like maybe a
So-
retired cop or something like that?
No.
Instead of the...
Well, we can, again, we
Yeah,
appreciate
these
the
are all
suggestion.
things that
To
we
save
talk
money.
about.
I don't know if
Yep.
it would save money. I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah,
Yep. Thank you.
that's the issue, is trying to
Okay.
save money while not
It's gonna go the other side
reducing amenities, which is always a tough thing to do.
Mary Lou Ruggiero, 545C Norwich Court. It's just from what I've gathered, we're not interested in answering too many questions. We're just interested in hearing a feedback of what I think. This is my opinion, and I don't know what it's worth, but I, for one, don't agree with looking to saving money when it comes to the expense of what I feel is an inconvenience to me as a resident who pays a maintenance fee that is high. In other words, we're here about unmanning the gate and discussing other things connected with the gate, when I have always had it in the back of my mind and written in my agenda, bringing up someday increasing the hours at the 37 gate. Now we're talking about doing away with it. What I think we can do is, there are many ways when we come to a meeting, by the end of it, and I go home in a calculator, I can't believe how we found money to spend millions of dollars. But now we're talking about how to save money when it comes to something for the residents. That I'm against. I don't want people driving. Why should anybody be driving all the way around to Route 70? It seems like a silly thing. I think family, people we love, and people who are connected to us and why we're living here should be able to have easier access to coming here. So I, for one, am against it.
Thank you. Thank you for your input.
George Stathis, 912C Liverpool Circle. Number one, regarding this gate situation, I believe most navigation and GPS systems bring us to the back gate when people are coming in here. They're navigated there. So when they get there and that's closed and then they have to go around, I think that's a big inconvenience. And a little bit of a response to that gentleman regarding Florida. Most of those communities are a lot smaller, and I've lived in a smaller community, regarding cloud systems with telephones and or buttons to enter. We're the size of a town. You can't use that. And number three, what's the liability of us giving the responders to people that we don't know? I know I don't want to have that floating around. And the cost of having those extra units is going to cost us also money. They don't come out of the thin air to have them.
Want to talk on it? Well, one of the, that's the next topic is the transponders. We can, it's a perfect time now, but they wouldn't be given. They'd be paid for. Sorry. Correct. So, right. Again, this is, we're not making decisions now. We're, trying to get feedback, and so everyone can get up to speed on what possible options and pros and cons of every option have. So let's go into this topic now.
So our next topic that we'd like your opinion on, and we've already... Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you.
Go ahead.
Hi there, Ken Doche, Thornbury Lane. Just wanted to kind of point out, you're talking about $70,000 being the total cost for the 37 gate. That's manning it. If we take a look at what the difference in cost from last year to this year, let's say it went up something like 15%. That's $10,000. If you divide that by the number of residents and the number of months, you get something like 30 cents a month right now. The incremental cost, and yes, this is going to be something that will accumulate, and the total cost of 70,000 is, there are opportunity costs otherwise, but when we do this, we also have the possibility of actually having, a loss of benefits to the residents that, you have to figure out the dollar cost. And there are costs, it's not going to be pure saving because the 70,000, we might have to have 2 people at the 70 gate or somebody to direct traffic or whatever. And let me tell you, the 70 gate, there have been times I've been leaving at the 70 gate and people have been trying to come in through the exit because they say, just too many people, you know, that they feel that they're right. And, you know, it almost comes to blows that, you know, over somebody wanting to come in through the exit gate because there are just too many people. So, and bringing Route 70 to a halt would have implications for emergency vehicles and everything else like that. So that's about it for the moment, okay?
We have a couple
Thank
more
you.
questions over here on the 37. I don't know how you want to proceed.
Okay, well, it'll all come back around, all right, as we continue on. But let's just touch on transponders right now for a few minutes. So if anyone has a question for,
Well, let me just go over what some of the thought process was. Do we offer transponders to family members or those who would be in need of one and approved? They would have to be approved by their community manager and determined at a yearly charge. We would come up with a yearly charge for that. So we want to know what you think about that, and we'll move on to that topic.
Questions only on transponders now, correct?
yes,
Yes.
just go transponders. And just a little background on the transponders. Transponders are individual transponders that we have now. If you don't pay your maintenance fee, you are not in good standing. The office, with a flip of the switch, can cut off your transponder. That would be the same process that if transponders were issued to non-residents, they would be tracked, they would be able to be cut off at a moment's notice. So that's, you know, just a little food for thought.
And don't forget, they're affixed to the car, just like yours are affixed to the car. They have to provide their license, their registration. They have to provide all the same things that you provide. So, and they would be assigned to that particular resident.
Linda Fisher, Buckingham Drive. As far as the transponders go, excuse me, you said family would be, you're talking about family getting responders. And what about home health aides and nurses? There's a lot of people in this community who use home health aides, nurse aides. They come in, you know, once a week, every day during the week. This affects the 37 gate. It affects the transponders. It affects Route 70, having those people get in here to take care of the people that they're supposed to be taking care of.
Again, good points. On the side in the back, Mary?
Susan Goldberg, Wooten Court. As far as the transponders go, I'd need more information on how you would decide who can obtain a transponder, which I think is important. And also I had a while back read that you were considering them also for summer guests, like family members who come and rent cars, which is an issue for me too. And as far as the transponders go, one other thing that wasn't addressed was when I travel for business or have to use an Uber and come through, they charge you about double to come, say, from the bus terminal and circle round to the 70 gate than they would to come through the 37 because I don't have my transponder with me. And there's no way for me to punch in a number to come through that gate. So that's another issue for people who use alternate transportation to come and go, even if you're a resident.
Good point. Thank you. Who's got the mic?
I have a question about transponders. I think it was answered. I always do that. Eileen McCarthy, 11B Sterling Street. Sorry. Anyway, the transponders themselves, the handout said family, and then I think, Mr. Burfer, you just clarified that would be maybe people that are on our individual list is how that was going to work, and it would be affixed to the car.
I indicated family
Well, anyway,
members.
this is a discussion. So if you are considering that, I think it should be from your individual list. At the same time, if they are on your individual list and for some reason that you want to remove them from your list, that there would be staffing of some sort, and I don't know where that's going to be generated from, that you could remove them and then delete their transponder from the system. Is that the way that you're proposing this? In other words, each individual transponder could be deleted from the system?
Yes, they can be deleted from the system.
And there'll be more paperwork involved and
It's just
should have more staffing or volunteers or whatever to do that.
It would be done in the association office, yes.
One other question, just a general question. I know this is a town hall meeting, and I know with Verizon, we had many of those before that was implemented. So are you looking at any time frame at all for whatever is going to happen at the 37 gate?
Not at this point. We're just gathering information.
Okay.
We're
Thank
doing
you.
our
Yeah,
due
we have-
diligence and our research.
We have 2.5 years, a little more, 2 years and 10 months on the current contract. So we want to get our ducks in line before we make any other decisions.
Hi, Karen Hooyer, Buckingham Drive. I think we're forgetting that a couple of years ago there was some crime going on here, and it was committed by a family member of a resident who had access to the gate, just came in because their name was on the list. So I think we have to consider these transponders as something, that can be accessed by the wrong people. And as Ken pointed out, he kind of did it in a way that I didn't understand financially, but I would like to know the difference in what the cost is on the new contract to keep the 37 gate open than it was last year. Because $60,000, it makes it sound like, oh, maintenance is going to go up $60,000, but it's not. So I would like to know maybe at the next board meeting what the difference in the price is.
Sure.
And you keep saying that you're not manning the gate, you're not closing the gate, you're manning it, but you are closing it. You're closing it to our family and our friends and our relatives. And I can't get a hot meal delivered from the 37 court.
Right. In essence, unmanning that gate would then make 2 gates that are resident-only entrance gates. That's in essence what would happen if that gate is unmanned.
Mary?
Behind you, Mike.
Hi, Wayne Steinman, 43D Sterling. My opinion, and with all respect to all of the residents here, I'm very opposed to transponders being given to family members, to service providers, and anyone else who is not paying their monthly maintenance fees who lives here. Issues of crime, issues of unwanted people coming in, taking and using our facilities when someone is not living, is not physically present here at the same time. I think it just opens up a can of worms, and part of the reasons for moving here was a sense of security. That's it.
Thank you for your input.
Ms. Seidman.
Hello. Debbie Lodato, 592B Burton's Court. Taking into consideration everything everyone is saying about the transponders, there is a need for residents to be able to access the community if they are not in their own car. So, for example, we have to pick up our disabled son on Sunday. Last Sunday, I went through the manned gate 4 times. So it's very, very frustrating if we're in an Uber, if we're out with a friend, and we're not in our own vehicle, that we can't get into our own community. I do not want to be sitting at a manned gate. There has to be some sort of handheld for a resident or an access code or something.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good response. On this side?
I live at 1150A Thornberry Lane. My problem with not having it manned is, because we live, myself, and we live on Thornberry Lane, there's people on our street, there's a couple of places where just women live, and the only thing they got in their backyards are 6-foot fences. That's one thing.
Talk more into the mic, please. You got to keep it
I
up.
also, with the transponders, when you say they can be just shut off, but in my mind, I'm thinking, when do they get shut off? After you come home and discover your family member laying on the ground because somebody was in here and hit him in the head with something? And they walk off, and this isn't make-believe in my mind, because I myself, because I go in and out of 37 Gate quite often, post office and whatever, and there's people I see walk in to use Buckingham as a pass to get over to maybe 70 or something. I see that quite a bit. And from what I understand, it was about a week or so ago, where there was a guy who was walking back and forth in front of our gate on 37, and it was the guard, whatever it was, that notified either somebody at 70's gate or notified the police themselves that this guy was harassing people coming in and out of the gate. So I just think I would feel safer for my family and some of the people on our street if it wasn't done.
Thank you. Good.
Thank you very much.
On this side? Ken's got one.
Hi, Ken O'Shea, Thornberry Lane. Just related to unmanning the 37 gate using transponders, that kind of works, but for those people who won't have transponders, it's 2.6 miles via 37 and Colonial and 70 between the two gates, and then if you need to come down to, say, the Encore area, it's another almost 2 miles. So you're talking about, if somebody's doing Uber or anything like that, about 5 miles additional.
Yes.
Question over here.
Well, this might be a good time to go with the...
Joyce Cunliffe, 47A Edinburgh Lane. I know we're discussing this subject that is not going to come to fruition. You say there is 2 years left on this security or...
Right, the contract.
On the contract. Are you ultimately going to put this suggestion to the residents, or is the board just going to make the decision themselves and say, this is what we've done, and make the most of it?
Well, the answer is we're trying to get feedback at this point. All decisions are made by the board. You elected the 7 board members to make these decisions. Our job is to get the information and get responses so that we can have educated decisions. Nothing has been set. The same thing happened with the sanitation contract. For years, we have spoken about collecting the garbage ourselves. But it's only up until now where the costs have now become more and more expensive. They're not going down, so we look for alternative methods. So for over a year and a half that I've been on the board this previous term, we have been looking at it. And that's why last year was where we decided that, look, for our fiduciary responsibility here is to get the best bang for the buck that we all spend. So that is why we did for the sanitation. We're looking at the same thing with the controlled access into the village.
Okay, well, I wish you lots of luck
Thank you.
with your...
I just want to add to that, even though at the, you elected us, and at the end of the day, we're going to have to make a decision, but we're here representing you. So that's why we're having these meetings, and we're going to listen to what you have to say. So I want everybody to realize that
Okay.
That's what we're here for. We're here to represent you and represent, and that, to me, that's one of the important things about having these town halls.
Okay, I fully appreciate that fact, but I'd like to wish you luck with your garbage removal, because even the professionals get it wrong.
Okay.
No
Thank
one is
you.
perfect. We do the best we can. We have one over here? Okay.
John Taylor, 937D, Liverpool Circle. Now, when I was at your last meeting, you said you're spending $36,000 on a new security system for the clubhouses.
Mm-hmm.
So, but why do we need the new security for these clubhouses? To
Well,
punch
that's-
in and punch out?
well-
Nobody's going to do that.
Right, but right now, that's not part of the
lady
issue
is
here.
behind me, I'm going to let that lady in. I'm not going to make her punch her card.
Right,
So half the
that's-
people in the place are not going to punch
But
their
the-
card.
Understand,
We
but this is
understand,
not
but
part of
that's
this
the topic
discussion now.
today is
Well,
the
okay.
37 gate and
Your
the
gate,
transponders.
it should stay open as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay? We got to pay another
All right.
dollar, we got to pay another dollar.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Mary. Right there.
Hi, I'm Teresa
in the
again
middle,
from
in the back.
1236A Thornbury. Regarding, can you hear me? Regarding transformers and cloud
Transponders.
access, I have been in communities in Florida that have had this, and it unfortunately did not work. There was a higher cost to the community. So I'm glad we're discussing this. I think this is very important. It's part of a cost efficiency that we need to do every year probably to assess our costs. But I'm just going to share with you my experience. It cost the communities more from many different perspectives. Safety was one, maintenance was another. And I also would like to, once again, encourage you folks, continue the cost study, continue getting input, but put that in realm with an overall end-to-end cost perspective, because there may be other avenues that are more efficient to cut costs in than the gates for our community. I just like to strongly state that. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Donna Ors, Friar Court, 696 Friar Court. And I just want to say, you're trying to save money, but all you're really doing with these transformers is passing the cost on to the residents. Yes, you are. If I have to buy a transformer, I'm paying for it. You're passing the cost to me.
But that would be voluntary. If that is an option, that would be
So you have a choice
voluntary.
of voluntarily buying these or being inconvenienced. That's what you're saying.
Well, not everyone would be approved to have a transponder. It would be a case-by-case basis and have to be approved.
Exactly, or otherwise be inconvenienced by having to use only the 70 gate.
Right, I couldn't hear that last part.
There's a choice of either paying or being inconvenienced.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay,
Correct.
that's my point.
Yeah, no, I
Thank you.
understood.
We're going to move on to the next.
Okay.
This is the last one.
Oh,
Hi, Gail Lupo, Thornberry Lane. I just would like to say that I don't think transformers should be sold to nor passed on by family members to anyone if you're not a resident, because we don't know where they go from there. So let's just keep it at that. Now, we do know how quickly the 37 and both the 70 gate backs up. It takes 2 to 3 cars, and nobody can get to the other side. Have we considered using our Colonial Gate? It's a straightaway. We're not interfering with the traffic, because you could probably have at least 10 cars on either side without interfering with any traffic. So that could be one of making that our main entrance, taking that off of Route 70. When we were built back in the 70s, I dare say traffic wasn't anywhere what it is right now. So that might be an idea to free ourselves from getting in trouble with the township. And as far as electronic access, I know they do it in several larger communities all over the country. Some are more successful than others, but that is the way things are probably going to go due to cost And as far as gaining access to our buildings, this gentleman over here was concerned about access to our buildings. We're finding that it is a valid thing to do to have electronic access where we can see who is coming in and out of the building, because we have been subjected to crime and we don't want to see that happen again. So just use electronics to come in 37 and 70 and have our access main for everybody guest-wise come in Colonial.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your input.
Marie Lamberti, Farrington Court. You seem to be intermingling several items on this paper. I was waiting for full closure there. As far as closing the 37 gate, that comes up every few years. And I should think by now it would be astounding to the board that people want that gate remained open for the many reasons they've stated here. And number two, as far as transponders given out to family members, they can then be passed around to ex-family members, whatever, and that takes away the security that is a great amenity to the people living in this village. Then you go down to how to utilize the savings of the closing of the gate. You're under the presumption that gate would be closing, and then the savings would be for guests. For a guest, you're here to work on the basis of funds for the residents. I don't understand the premise of what you put out here today.
Well, let us go. We're going to go to the last section, and that'll answer your question as far as what the premise is with utilizing some of the savings. So do we have one last question?
There's a couple of questions over here,
All right,
too.
there's one, Mary. That one woman has been holding her hand up in the back.
Wait. We have this one lady here.
No, I just wanted Mary to get to, one woman in the back has been holding her hand up forever.
Oh,
Go ahead,
okay.
Mary. You go first, Mary.
I'll get it.
Oh, okay.
I got it, Mayor.
Thank you, Mary. Eileen Stacy from 1104A Thornbury. I'd like to have some feedback from the board, please, on the demographics of the people who live in this village. Can you tell me the owners of the, is it almost 3,000 units we have here? Are predominantly of what sex?
2,692 units. The only number I can give you right now is that the median age is 73.
And?
Majority of the new residents that come in, 200 every year, the majority of
And the
them may be
majority
single
of the
women.
owners would be women, if
That's
I'm
what
not
they said.
mistaken. Is that correct?
That's from the
Your
demographics that I
understanding?
viewed. Yes.
Okay. So there's three conversations we're having here. We're having one about security, one about access, and one about cost. And we're getting them on all intermingled, which, because everybody has different interests, obviously. But I'd like to just make the point that security seems to be, if I look around here and see my audience, a very big factor here. Now, if we're looking at the board members, they are predominantly male. Is that true?
Right now, yeah.
Okay. All I am saying is that it's very important to understand your demographic, your people who are paying the fees, and their concerns here, especially when it comes to security. So that 37 gate being opened and being manned can give a certain comfort to people who live here. And that doesn't mean that if you're a man, you don't get comfort from that as well. I'm not trying to suggest that. But I'm trying to suggest that it's very important to underpin that security level for the residents that come here, because it's part of why they buy into this village
Understood.
as well.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But just one point on that. I don't want to scare people, but think about this. That 37 gate and the 70 gate have one guard each. After 5 p.m., there is one guard. That's why I say don't consider them a guard. They are a doorkeeper. So for the 825 acres that we have here, there is one person that sits in a house at the 70 gate. So,
And just remember, it's really gate access monitoring. It's not security. Because whether they're on the call list or using a transponder, once they pass that gate, we don't know where they went. We don't monitor, we don't track. That's not the purpose. It's a gate access monitoring system. That's really what it is. It's not a security system. But I appreciate.
Gene, I just can't stay quiet anymore. I apologize to all of you. Gene, how many people are on our do not call list?
Approximately 25,000 names are on the do
So
not call list.
25,000 people.
It averages
can
almost 7 people per household.
Can stop at the gate and give a name. Could be somebody they don't know, but they've heard of. They could have looked it up on Google, on White Pages, and found out that Wayne Steinman's daughter's name is Holly. Whatever, I'm sorry. And they use that name. So the thought that the transponder is less safe than the do not call list is a complete fallacy, folks. It really is. If you have a transponder, you have gone to the administration building with your relative. They have shown their license, their registration, whatever is required, and they've been, a transponder has been put on the windshield of that car. That car's license, every time it comes in, we know who and where that car, what that car was. Now, if your grandson drives the car and it was only issued to his mother, that same grandson is going to stop at the gate and use his mother's name or his father's name to come through the do not call list. So let's really understand the difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Faye.
okay, thank you. All right, one more on this, and then we're going to go to the rest.
Hi, I'm Barbara Holsley, and I'm 82A Cambridge Circle. We're one of many adult communities in this area. Do the boards talk to the other communities to compare what works? Maybe another community has a way in and out that works really well.
Well, all the other villages right now have one entrance that's manned.
Okay, because I know somebody was saying that we're a big community, and I know there's one in Jackson that's a pretty big community, and they have where they punch in the number. And I know Renaissance, they have a guard, but they have the resident has, I think, like a garage door opener to open the gate.
Yep.
So I just wondered if can we pick the brain from other communities to
Sure, and
what might work?
And also nationwide, we can pick communities. We're part of the CAI.
Okay.
CAI has all of this information, all communities around southeast, east, west, everything. So
Okay, do they have like if there's like crime issues in the communities, do they,
well,
is that part of
it
that?
all depends on cost. It really all depends on cost, what each one of these communities has done over the years. Ultimately, what most communities have gravitated to is using technology. It's always cheaper to have a non-human.
Okay.
All right, so and that seems to be the time that we could we have two little videos just to give you an example of one of the leaders in the industry. It's called Envera. There are a number of companies that are part of this whole cloud-based security systems. And they handle everything from gate access to license plate recognition to cameras all over and monitoring. So they sell them as modules, and they increase their cost that way. So if we could,
We're gonna move to the
little video here.
We're gonna show a video on the iCloud-based system.
Hey, Crystal.
Hey Nathan, it's Crystal. I'm on my way. What's your gate code?
Oh, you don't need a code. I'm gonna add you to the guest list right now.
Okay, I'll be there in just a few minutes. See you later. Bye.
Do you have to call your guard every time someone comes to visit you? Maybe you need a more effective way to grant access to visitors. With Envira's Virtual Gate Guard product, these issues are solved.
Good afternoon. May I have the name or the address of the person you're visiting?
I'm here to see Nathan Barnes.
And may I please have your name?
Crystal Clark.
Thank you, Miss Clark. You may proceed to the gate. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.
If you want to improve the security and convenience of your entrance gates, Envira can help with their Virtual Gate Guard product and virtual portal, My Envira.
There's one more.
An Envira protected community is a safer community. Does your guard remember every visitor that came through the community's gate this month? Probably not. Envira is a virtual guard company that replaces or improves residential gate guards with the patented Envira kiosk system, which offers enhancements to security while decreasing guard costs. The Envira kiosk system uses the latest technology, including high-resolution digital video cameras and recorders with secure internet connections to offer high-quality access control to visitors. Gate monitoring features include 15-plus years experience maintaining gated communities, a 24-hour, 365-day-a-year central station, supervised Class D guards, gate-specific monitoring software, resident web portal for registering guests, video capture of license plates and visitor faces, digital archiving of video surveillance and visitor transactions, gate damage recovery evidence, reduction in trespassing and cut-through traffic. Envira's technology captures every visitor's face and license plate, storing audio and video for every visitor entering a community. The state-of-the-art central station communicates with visitors at community entrance gates using two-way audio and one-way video. Licensed guards remotely greet guests, contact residents, and grant or deny access as necessary. Each visitor is logged using active video and audio verifications before being allowed or denied entry into the community. Envira's remote virtual guards only open a gate if a visitor is authorized. The system can be installed as either a replacement to live guards or as a complement to existing security systems, as an after-hours solution, or to monitor remote gate locations for the community. To learn more about how Envira Systems Virtual Gate Guard can add additional layers of protection to your community, and for a free security consultation, call us at 1-855-936-8372 or visit our website at envirasystems.com.
Okay, so that was just an example of this company, but it's the same technology that other companies use. This is one of the leaders. And this, if we were ever to go into using cloud-based, that is the way that I think all of us are used to. We call the guard, we say we're expecting someone, they put them on the list. When the person shows up, they're communicating with a guard. That guard isn't physically there. They are in the cloud. Okay, so that is really what the crux of it is. It isn't a code. For example, Leisure Knoll uses a code on their resident-only gate. Those people give that code out, and now that defeats the entire purpose of security. The pizza guys, they get the code. Now, that pizza delivery guy, does he just work at one place or does he work at others? And who does he give that code to? This would be the way to go, as opposed to punching in a code. But, again, this company is but one, and that's the type of technology that you could supplement our 70 guard. And if you use this technology, we could then implement it at all 3 gates for resident and non-resident entry. Residents, it wouldn't affect them because you come in with our transponder. Non-residents, and again, we don't have the breakdown of what the non-residents are, the visitors. They're not all our family. So selling transponders to our family is only attacking a percentage of the number of vehicles that come in here. They are contractors, they are deliveries, they are aides, we didn't even talk about the other emergency vehicles. There's, 1,000 ambulance trips annually that come in here. Those numbers that we gave before, right now, as of August, almost 235,000 visitors came in through the 37 gate. Those 235,000 people would then, if the 70 gate was to be unmanned, if the 37 gate was unmanned, the 70 gate would have to absorb all of that. So these are the things that we're looking at. So now, part of the thing where we said before, what would we do with savings? It's the savings that, all right, so the 60,000 that we didn't spend on the gate at 37 would go for this. Now, one thing to remember, the first year, if you implement technology, the first year you probably wouldn't save any money because you're buying the license and then you're paying a monthly fee. But once that first initial outlay is done, you're only spending, let's say, $1,000 a month as opposed to $60,000 for 8 hours. You would do $1,000 a month for 24/7 on an individual gate, and they probably add costs if you're going to do all 3 gates. So that's the things that we would be looking at. So that's the next topic for discussion. I hear you.
You're just too fast. All right. Art Pedowitz, 1171B Thornbury. Covering this topic on how to utilize the savings of closing Route 37 for visitors, not for guests. Oh, for guests, excuse me, same thing. All right. One, that gate is only open to 5 o'clock. So unless you have family coming in before that, they're going around all the way to 70. Same thing if you have food deliveries at certain times, they have to go to 70. And when you live down by 37, like I do, that's a lot of mileage. Gail Lupo did bring up something I was going to address. We may come to a point, and old Chuck has talked about this in the past, of using Colonial Gate as the gate for entrance. As far as the GPS systems, that system was put in probably when the village was built. They haven't corrected it even when we opened the new entrance on the Garden State for 70. I have to tell all my relatives, don't go to 37, go to 70. It's a lot easier for you to come down and go to the gate, all right? And again, if the gate, you're worried about security, that gate is closed at night. That's when you're going to have probably most of your potential problems, when people can't be seen. All right? Doesn't mean it doesn't happen during the day, but it's at night. All right? So if you have the gate on 70, the main gate, the others could use the system And yes, and I've been in Florida, I've been in other communities. There's only one gate for residents and guests to come in, not all the other ones, they're just residents only, okay? So it doesn't really matter which gate you're going into. You have one guard right now, that's it. So whether it's Colonial or that, and 37, instead of going all the way around to 70, maybe we could put up a nice sign on Route 37 to direct the people to Colonial, if that's the main entrance, so people don't have to drive up to the gate and go all the way back, all right? And another comment I just want to address, it was mentioned that with the flea market closing and Route 9 and all this extra traffic, they're not coming down this way. They're staying by Route 7 there, Route 9, and let the other townships and the police take care of that problem, all right? But I take it as a personal front that those communities are addressed. Yes, you go down there, you're amazed by all the communities being built, but they're staying in their communities, they're not coming down here. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to also add one other thing. When you're talking about our area of security, my son's a community affairs police officer, and he deals with crime statistics within their community. And in speaking with him, he told me that one of the things, statistically speaking, people are not looking to get into the communities because they are a gated community. The large percentage of your crime, unfortunately, is coming from family members within the communities. It's a statistic that he says is there, and I just want people to realize it is more difficult. If they can, if they're not, as he said, they're not going to look to try to get into a gated community. If they're going to break in homes and stuff, it's easier for them to go in a regular neighborhood where there's no access to, they can just go right in. But just wanted to make you aware of that.
Pat Masterson, 593A Burton's Court. In reference to the statement you made, Chuck, it's a gatekeeper. Yes, it is a gatekeeper. And the 7 to 11 shift, or the whatever shift that goes all night, is not a busy shift, okay? So, that said, if you think about this system, this is going to cost us more money. And don't say you get the cost up front and then it's less in years to come. No, because they're going to do the same thing that the guard companies do, okay? They're going to raise their costs because they have employees that they have to pay. Their employees are probably in a state that doesn't know what's going on. Half of the time when you make phone calls to businesses, I'm talking to somebody down in Minnesota, in God knows where else. I'm going to say this, and I said it at the board meeting. We cannot track people coming in every day during business hours, okay? No system is perfect, but I would prefer, and I say this for me, and I think I say it for the majority of the residents, I'm willing to pay the extra money to keep what we have, extend the hours maybe a little in the summertime for whatever reasons. We spend more money in this community on other things that are not necessary, and the board has a tendency, and I'm not just saying this board, but previous boards have a tendency to divert everybody's attention to an issue, and then you guys deal with something totally else, and then you come to us, and this is never discussed anymore, and this is how it's done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Over on this side.
Maria Gutierrez, 1147B Thornberry. A lot of times, family members, they come and pick me up in their vehicles, and they had to go to 70 to come back because the gate is not open anymore. If you close the gate, then it's going to be all day long. The people has to come the other gate and take me home the other way. Okay, another thing is, we had the internet. It was horrible. I'm happy the way we are right now. But when we got it, our rates went up. And I'm wondering, it sounds like a very good idea about the cloud, but how much more is going to cost us? And we like everything just the way it is. That's the reason why we move here. Well, thank you.
Well, don't forget, at the same time, those are good questions to ask, and those are the things that the board is going to look into. We have to do our research, just like anything else we're going to research, but those are the things, just like we did with the trash collection, it was the same principle. We looked at what our expenses are, what our future expenses were, and then we looked into alternatives. It would be the same with that. We would have to, if we were going to look at that and look at that ICOB-based system, we have to do our research and what the expenditures are versus future costs and what our future contract costs would be. But thank you.
Charlie Brandt, 47C Coventry Court. One of the things that I have this feeling that the board has, quote unquote, a fiduciary responsibility. Well, a fiduciary responsibility means the total quality of life, not just the dollar amount. People moved into this community because they could go out the 37 gate, they could go out the 70 gate. What an advantage over all of the other communities in this area. We have 2 little golf courses. Not everybody plays golf, but they're important. Or should the board decide, blow them up and build something because of the quality of life? But that'd be cheaper than cutting grass. That's silly. We moved in here for what we moved in here for. One of the things that's nice is I've always said to the people, I lived here 17 years, and lo and behold, I go out and come home and my house is painted. And I didn't know it was going to be painted, but it got painted. But it's painted the same color, so I don't have to worry about the change in color. Oh, there's a new roof. Okay? But that money was set aside. That's one of the reasons I moved here. Now, it's not a guard at the gate. Of course it's not. But I guarantee you, kids don't just drive through here to make a shortcut from going to 70 to 37 because of the fact there's a guard. They got to give their name to somebody.
Correct.
They got to fake their way in. Yeah, they can do that. We know that. But it is a lot more secure than being in a situation like out in Whiting, where there's no guard and no gate.
Yep.
We moved here because of the fact that what we moved here for. Simple as that. You know, the quality of life is important. Fiduciary, keep the cost down. I've heard talks about hiring somebody instead of a charge. I watched this film. They're not doing anything except moving the person out of here to someplace in India. You know, that's all they've done. But they've got the same person you're going to talk to. How silly can it be? That's not technology. That's just a cute film. And that's not even that cute. She was driving and talking on a cell phone.
Yeah,
You
she
know,
wasn't
how
doing
stupid.
hands-free. I know.
Thank
Well,
you.
that's Florida, so. We have someone up here? Okay.
Hi, Marilyn Orlando, 12348 Thornberry. I just want to know, have you checked how much the cost for hiring somebody from the cloud as opposed to having a human here?
Again, we're taking the input, and those are things we're going to be looking into.
Yeah,
So we're just in the early stages of everything. That's why we wanted to have this meeting. That's why we were asking for input. And, you know, when we get these things and we have the information, we're then going to bring it out to you and let you know what's going on with it. Yep.
All right, the other question I wanted to ask, if we are going to save 60,000 or 70,000 or 90,000 by the end of
Over the years?
the contract, is our
No. Sorry, no. Because other things would take that savings. For example, most people forget we pay $1.1 million for insurance, which that's a nice one-time check. And that goes up based on the rates. So,
You know,
okay, where we got over here? Okay.
Dan Oliveri, 545C Norwich Court. They tried this about 7 years ago. They closed the gate, if you remember correctly.
Yep.
Okay? And then they turned around and they had a budget come up and they charged us $2 a resident, each household, $2 to man that gate. So we're really paying for that gate right now because our maintenance went up $2. Are we going to get the $2 back?
No.
No. Now you want to change. Now you want to take this away, though.
No.
Well, we're paying for it.
I
You're
understand.
not paying for it. We're paying for it right now.
Right. See, again, why this came up, think about it. Every year, these contracts that we have expire. We negotiate with these companies. Even our employees are union, and they have a contract, and they get increases. So
That's part of life.
that's absolutely, that's life. So,
Our maintenance goes up every year.
Right.
You don't change that.
right, and if the cost goes up, we pay more. So that's why we're asking, do we want, and you're going to continue to pay for the gate.
correct.
So,
Thank
that's why we're looking for feedback from you all to make educated choices.
Ellen Dobner, 1229A Thornberry. I just have one consideration here. Has the board considered the fact of the disparity of ages in here? There's people that are still using flip phones. So what do they need in order to access something like this?
Well, something like that, it's the same thing. They would call up the guard, or there's a number that they could call.
Oh, okay. But
There's
what
the
about
same thing.
entering names? The guard enters
That
the
would
name?
that would be an option. There's two options. What it would be is that just like now, if I have a visitor that's coming, I would call the gate and say, I'm expecting somebody. They show up, they give their name, the guard lets them in. So there's a number of ways that we have that list. I could call up every day, or I have a call list. And as we said, the average number is 7 per household on that allowed in list without a call. So there are options. With technology, then you as an individual would have web access and you could put people on. That's the only difference that would be, which to me is better than like even what in that video said. You don't need a code. I will put you on my list. So that's the way that technology goes. Decide.
Marie Bertie, Farrington Court. I believe I heard one or two people mentioning the Colonial Gate. I have a question for the trustees. Have you checked it all with management regarding Colonial Gate?
About what?
About reopening Colonial Gate. My question to you first. Have you checked with management?
Management?
Yes.
Our management?
Absolutely, Mr. Schultz.
Sure. Yeah, we've talked about this for years.
Okay. Well, then I suggest you all check with the Manchester Police Department regarding you wanting to open it and the tonnage allowed on the road, whether or not they would allow it. Check with the Manchester Police Department first. It was checked within the past. The gate has been remained closed for a period of time for a reason. Thank
The
you.
gate is not closed, Marie. The gate is not closed. That gate's not closed. It's only closed to visitors.
It's open, correct. It's open for residents.
Correct.
Residents don't own trucks that use that gate all the time. Trucks,
There's no problem
about
on,
tonnage
there's
on
no
the
problem
road.
on our
I'm
property. There's no
talking about
problem on
tonnage on the
Colonial
road.
Drive. There is no
you want to
problem.
have a discussion with me? Okay.
No, we've already checked. This is the thing. We've checked these things over the years. We would have to reconfigure that. We would have to reconfigure 70. There are a number of options. No, well, there are a number of. There's not a guest side on here. So let's go.
Let's go to the next
Next
question.
question.
Hi, Cindy Mooney, 11C Gramercy. So we're giving up one security company to go to another security company, okay? And we still don't know what is their increase in their costs per year? We're giving up our costs here to go to that, and who knows if they're going to go up 11% a year versus 7% a year.
Again,
haven't looked.
we're showing the concept, all right? We're at the early stages. That's why we're offering the town hall to get opinions on it. We're going to do our due diligence, look into each of the things, and then we will get back to the community as to what we find.
I also
what we're
think
doing.
that you want to look into other alternatives.
Well, that's what we're doing.
You have a ton of retired policemen around, okay, who can carry a gun and who can maintain us that probably doesn't need insurance because they're covered for their insurance, they're covered for their Social Security, they won't need insurance coverage. That would be a downgrade for us. And you're turning around trying to go leave one security company to go to another one without really knowing what the increase in our costs are going to be after we join them. It might be nothing the first time or 2% the first time, and then it could go up to 8%. You don't know.
Correct. We're going to look into it. Thank you.
And volunteers raise our liability.
Correct.
They would be, if we would hire a retired police officer, there's a cost.
Right.
All right, so
it's things-
first house that gets robbed, who's getting sued? Next question.
I think that we had. I think we had a 2-day notice for this meeting, which really was not fair. I had to cancel an appointment to be here.
No,
It's a month.
we announced this at our previous board meetings.
You announced that you were thinking of having one, but
No.
I go to the board meetings.
We announced the date, we announced what it was about.
How come I'm at the board meetings? All right. Well, I think that, there's a few people here. Maybe it's not a big percentage of the people in the village, but it seems like everybody's on the same page about keeping the gate open, at least until there's another alternative that everybody can agree on. So,
Sure, and that's why
Again,
we're
we
having
appreciate
this,
your
to
input.
get
Yep.
that feedback.
Yep.
right.
That's what we're here for.
There's potentially another 2,400 people sitting home watching.
But I don't
There's
think
not
anybody
200
here
people
is really against keeping the gate open. So,
Well,
thank you.
again, the question is costs, safety, access. These are all things that we are looking at. So again, there's no decisions being made here.
Nope.
After all is said and done, nothing's changing now.
Right.
So these are just to get information, to feel what's going on.
Okay, my name is Lucille Greer. I'm at 1150 Thornbury. 1150 A Thornbury Lane. I'm listening to all this, and truthfully, I don't understand why we are trying to fix something that really isn't broken. Okay.
It's the cost. That's the only
Okay.
reason we're looking at it now is the cost.
How much cost do you put on safety?
How,
Don't-
it's not,
don't-
it's not a
don't-
safety
no.
issue.
No, I.
It's
am
not a
living-
safety issue.
Yes, it is.
Gate
I am living here a year, 1 year. I researched this place for a year. It had everything I wanted, including a gated community, which made me feel safe. I live right off of 37, okay? I could see the traffic. I don't feel safe not knowing that someone's not there, okay? But that thing you want everybody to carry around, you are making something that is going to be so confusing. If it's lost, you got to tell your kids, you got to do this, you got to do that. The way we do it right now is so simple. It's clean. Everybody's been doing it, and I don't understand what the big issue is. You paying $60,000? There might be a way you can tweak it a little bit, but I don't know what price you put on safety. I think everybody would be willing to pay a little more if it meant their safety. Let's face it, things don't go down in this country. They go up.
Yep.
And it's a fact of life. So I just
We
feel
understand.
that all of this
Thank you.
is nonsense when it's not broken.
Okay,
Thank you.
Wait, who's got a mic? Another question? Here, do you want to?
Okay, Linda Sue Fisher, Buckingham Drive. First, I wanted to mention about the transponders. People were worried if we have the 37 gate closed at night, that it takes you, if you're with someone else or Uber or whatever, to get around the 70 gate. I just recently got a car, and I've been using a little card to get in and out of the gate with my scooter. I opted to keep that card rather than get a transponder on my car. So I can take that little card everywhere I go, whether I'm in an Uber, I'm with my brother, whatever. I have that card so that I can get in the gate. So if you're worried about not being able to get into the 37 gate when it's closed because you don't have your car, my suggestion would be to see about getting that card instead of having the transponder on there. And you mentioned about the possibility earlier here about being able to end the contract with the security company early if there was some way we could tweak it. If we could do that, could we get the cloud-based security sooner?
Well, sooner we would still have to do our due diligence. We did a year and a half ago. We got numbers. Now those numbers are out of date now, but 2018 we got numbers. 2017 we contacted the township to reconfigure the entrance going into 70. They won't do anything. It's a state highway. So the township can't do anything. The state won't do anything. It's that when that gets backed up, all you need is one truck and two cars going in the visitor side, and the residents can't get to the resident side. It could also block the people going to Leisure Knoll, making that U-turn. So there are a number of steps that have to be taken before any action gets done. This has come up now because we just renewed the contract. We knew what was going on with the contract and saw what we were looking to, it's going to increase. It's in the contract. So these are the things that we have the time to do it, and we're looking for alternatives.
Right.
Bottom line is, we're not doing anything at this point. We may not do anything. All right? So that's, again, it's feedback, it's information, it's the ramifications. A lot of people don't even realize what the consequences are by making an action like that. And we wanted to avoid that what happened 6-7 years ago, because there wasn't really, as far as I'm concerned, I wasn't on the board then. The decision to make that was purely cost savings without realizing what the impact was going to be. And we don't want to get into that same situation. Yeah, wait, we have a question here. Give your name.
Okay. I think the essence of the whole thing is that it really affects the people that are by the 37 gate as opposed to the 70 gate. The 70 gate is not at all implicated by this. And I just feel that there should be a little bit more justification given to this situation. I don't think it is. I think it's a good idea, possibly, if that would be the alternative, to open it in between the two gates. But I must say that when people come and they come off the parkway and they come into the 70 gate, they get very confused. I've seen this on several occasions. And they see Leisure Village West and they come in, and then they have to go all the way around. We're talking about quite a distance, and in mileage, to go around from this 37 to the 70 gate. There's quite a bit of mileage implicated in this situation. And I think that if it costs, like you said, $2, I think that's absolutely asinine that we would even consider thinking about this. $2 is really very little. I mean, that's my feeling. If that would keep open the 37 gate, by all means, I do feel that the $2 that would be a lot justified in this situation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just one point on what you said there. It's not just the impact on 37, the people that live by 37 gate. Think about this. If everything, like right now, if you live right here, close to the 70 gate, and during the morning and during the evening, there's a lot of cars coming in and out. So doesn't the traffic back up a little bit here? All right, you know, I've seen it where there's people trying to get in and out. So, right. But we would be at this point having 1,100 vehicles coming through one gate. So this is the thing where the problem is for us residents, we can go in and out any gate. It's the number of non-residents that are coming in. 235,000 in 8 months in the village. So, all right. One last
question.
Joe Cutter, 483A Winfield Court. I guess I live in Middle Earth. I'm not near 37 and I'm not near 70. 2 points. One point is that a lot of possibilities and options have been offered, mostly guided by self-interest, and that's okay. Second point, but what I would expect from the board, living in a community that we have to follow rules and regulations because we are a community, that the decision that will be made will be in the interest of our community and not one section of the community.
Absolutely. That is our goal.
Absolutely, that goes without saying.
Well, okay.
Well, we'd like to thank everybody for coming today. We appreciate your input, and
the weight
the
on
board will do
Colonial
its
Drive,
due diligence
'cause
and
I've
do
got
its
the mayor
research, and
working
thanks
on
for coming.
Oh, okay. All right, hold on one second. One of the comments about the weight, the weight restriction on Colonial Drive, the mayor has been contacted about that. But I have seen myself 20, a caravan of 20 Army 2.5-ton trucks filled with troops and equipment going to the base, and they're on Colonial Drive. So the weight restriction is not an issue. All right, thank you all for coming.